For most people, military power means giants. The United States, Russia, China. Almost nobody thinks of a country of 10 million people, famous for flat-pack furniture, pop music, and decades of neutrality. But that country just ripped up 200 years of non-alignment, joined NATO, and is now quietly turning itself into one of the most heavily armed, deeply prepared, and strategically placed militaries in Europe. So here's the real question. How insanely powerful is the Swedish military really? Is this just another small European army with good PR? Or is Sweden becoming the nightmare opponent in Northern Europe? The one aggressors really do not want to fight. Let's find out. For 2 centuries, Sweden's entire brand was simple: stay out of great power wars. It mediated conflicts, sent peacekeepers, and built a reputation as the calm Nordic state in a dangerous world. That ended in 2024, when Sweden formally joined NATO. On the surface, it looked like just one more flag raised at alliance headquarters. In reality, it was a geopolitical earthquake. Suddenly, the Baltic Sea is almost completely ringed by NATO territory. The alliance gains direct access to crucial northern corridors that link North America, the Arctic, and Eastern Europe. And the quiet country in the north starts pouring a growing share of its economy into defense, racing past the 2% NATO benchmark and aiming far higher in the coming years. This isn't a minor adjustment. It's the largest Swedish military buildup in generations. To understand how powerful Sweden really is, you have to look at 3 things: the numbers, the hardware, and the system behind it all. On paper, Sweden is not a top 5 global superpower. In most rankings, it lands in the upper tier. Not on the level of the US or China, but far stronger than its size would suggest. Manpower first. Sweden's active forces number only in the tens of thousands. But that's just the visible layer. Behind them is a growing pool of conscripts, reservists, and home guard units that push the total wartime strength towards 6 figures. And Stockholm has already laid out plans to keep expanding that number through the 2030s. For a country of just over 10 million people, this is serious mobilization. Then there's the money. Sweden has already crossed NATO's 2% defense spending target. Political plans now point towards much higher levels, funneling tens of billions of dollars into new equipment, expanded forces, and future technologies like space and cyber. So no, Sweden is not a mass army with millions of soldiers. But in terms of how much it is willing to spend and how fast it is modernizing, it stands out even among wealthier European states. On the ground, Sweden's army is being rebuilt for one specific task: make an invasion as painful, costly, and slow as possible. The country is restructuring to field multiple brigades capable of defending different regions at the same time. Its armored forces include modern main battle tanks based on the Leopard 2, upgraded with extra protection and advanced systems. These are backed by infantry fighting vehicles and armored carriers designed to operate in forests, snow, and broken terrain. Exactly the kind of landscape that punishes an attacker. But the real star of Sweden's artillery is a homegrown system, a 155mm self-propelled howitzer known for extreme shoot and scoot tactic. It can move into position, fire several precision rounds, and disappear again in little more than a minute. For enemy counter-battery radars, it's like trying to hit a ghost. Add a growing stock of rockets, mortars, and long-range fires, and Sweden's army may be relatively small, but it hits far above its weight in terms of how quickly and precisely it can deliver damage. Then, there's the Home Guard. Tens of thousands of part-time soldiers embedded in local communities. Their job is to secure infrastructure, guard roads and ports, and harass any invading force. This is not a traditional mass mobilization army. It's a layered territorial defense network designed to make every town, bridge, and highway a problem for an enemy. If there's one symbol of Sweden's military brain, it's its fighter jet, the JS-39 Gripen. Sweden's Air Force fields dozens of Gripen C and D fighters, and is now introducing the more advanced Gripen E. What makes these aircraft so dangerous isn't just their radar, electronic warfare systems, or modern missiles. It's the concept behind them. Gripen was built for a country that expects its air bases to be attacked. It can take off from short stretches of road. It needs relatively small ground crews and simple support equipment. It is designed to disperse, survive, and keep fighting even if traditional airfields are destroyed. In other words, while some jets are built for pristine, heavily protected bases, Sweden designed its fighter to operate from a highway in the woods. That makes the Swedish Air Force extremely hard to neutralize in a first strike. And because Gripen is fully interoperable with NATO systems, those jets now plug directly into Allied air defense networks across Northern Europe. But Sweden's most terrifying weapons might not be in the sky. They're under the waves. In the shallow, crowded waters of the Baltic, Sweden operates some of the world's quietest diesel-electric submarines. Equipped with air-independent propulsion, these subs can stay submerged for long periods and move with almost no noise. They are designed to stalk hostile ships in exactly the kind of environment where big nuclear submarines struggle. In exercises, Swedish submarines have repeatedly shown their ability to infiltrate powerful naval formations and get into attack position without being detected. Now, a new generation of submarines is being built with even more advanced sensors, modular sections for special forces, and room for future unmanned underwater vehicles. Combine that with coastal missile batteries, sea mines, and agile surface ships, and you get a brutal reality for any adversary. In a real war, trying to move freely in the Baltic Sea against Sweden and NATO would be a very dangerous game. Hardware alone doesn't explain Sweden's rise. The secret lies in its defense industry. For its size, Sweden is a mini-arms superpower. It designs and produces fighter jets, submarines, advanced radars, artillery systems, missiles, and electronic warfare technology, and exports them around the world. In recent years, Swedish arms exports have hit record highs, with sharp jumps from one year to the next. For a small country, these are massive figures. This industrial base does two things at once. First, it gives Sweden a degree of independence. It's less reliant on foreign suppliers, which is crucial in a crisis when global supply chains can be cut. Second, it turns Sweden into a supplier of power. Other countries buy its systems and integrate Swedish technology into their own forces, which increases Stockholm's political and military influence. In a world where ammunition stockpiles and production lines have become strategic weapons, that industrial capacity is a serious asset. But the most unique part of Sweden's defense is not a weapon or a vehicle. It's an idea: total defense. Total defense treats the entire country, military, government, business, and citizens, as one integrated system for survival. In this model, everyone has a role. Government agencies plan how to keep food, electricity, and healthcare going during war. Companies are involved in protecting critical infrastructure and data. Citizens receive guidance on how to prepare their home, what to store, and how to behave in a crisis. Conscription has returned, and there are moves to keep trained personnel on the books longer so that they can be recalled if needed. The message is simple. Modern war won't just be tanks and jets. It will be cyber attacks, disinformation, infrastructure sabotage, and pressure on civilian life. Sweden's answer is to make society itself harder to break. That kind of resilience doesn't show up in simple rankings, but it might be the difference between a country collapsing quickly and a country that keeps fighting even under intense pressure. Then there's geography. Sweden stretches from the Baltic coastline in the south up into the Arctic in the north. That geography is priceless. In the south, Swedish territory overlooks key sea lanes, ports, and undersea cables that keep Europe's economy alive. In the north, Swedish land links Norway, Finland, and the Arctic, the new frontier where shipping routes are opening, resources are contested, and great powers are increasing their presence. With both Sweden and Finland in NATO, the alliance can coordinate air, land, and naval operations across the whole Nordic-Baltic space. Reinforcing the Baltic states becomes easier. Protecting the Arctic and North Atlantic corridor becomes more realistic. What used to be a patchwork of neutral and allied territories is turning into a continuous defensive arc along Russia's northwestern flank. And right in the middle of that arc sits Sweden. So, how insanely powerful is the Swedish military. If you measure power by nuclear weapons, strategic bombers, or global expeditionary capacity, Sweden is not a superpower. But that's not the fight that really matters here. In the scenario that counts, a conflict in Northern Europe, Sweden is something very different. A well-funded, rapidly modernizing military, the strongest armed force in Scandinavia, a producer of advanced weapons, not just a buyer. A fleet of stealthy submarines and flexible fighter jets optimized for local geography, and a whole-of-society defense model that makes every citizen part of the plan. Plug all of that into NATO, right next to Russia, and this small neutral country turns into one of the most dangerous opponents you could choose in the north. Sweden was once the quiet observer of European conflicts. Now, it has become a frontline state, not built to conquer others, but built to make any attack on it or on its allies, a gamble that no rational strategist should want to take. And that's the hidden reality behind Sweden's quiet flag and peaceful image. A country that looks harmless on the surface, but underneath is building a fortress in the north. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Sweden's military power and want more deep dives into the forces shaping wars, borders, and global power, make sure to hit like and subscribe. We explore how countries prepare for conflict every week, from overlooked underdogs to rising heavyweights, so you don't miss the next moves on the global chessboard. Let me know in the comments, which military should we dissect next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.